You brought your little daughter with you. She's a dandy. She sounds like a sweetheart. Yeah. Well, she's going to learn a lot tonight. I hope not. I hope she don't know.
This isn't the first one. Yeah.
I hope we behave tonight.
I have 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the April 11 Shelby County Board meeting to order. We'll lead off with the prayer and pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance first.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord Jesus, we ask that you come in, be with us tonight, give us an open mind and a humble heart. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Give me a roll call, please.
Clark Manley.
Present.
Mark Bennett.
Here.
Teresa Banks. Here. Tim Brown.
Here.
Carol Cole. Here. Julie Edwards. Here. Martha Fernhaber. Here. Clay Hardy.
Here.
Doug Keenan.
Here.
Annette Martin. Sean Marks.
Here.
Tad Mayhall.
Here.
Keith McCormick.
Here.
Tim Morse.
Here.
Lori Nelson. Here. Bobby Orman.
Here.
Sonny Ross.
Here.
Mitchell Sheff. Don Tate.
Here.
Brent Wallace.
Here.
Jeremy Williams.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda is discussion and vote to approve the minutes from the March 14th meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Jeremy makes the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Martha. Any discussion on the minutes from the March 14th meeting? Discussions, questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Item 4 is the announcement of vacancy of Shelby County Board District 9 due to the resignation of Cody Brands. Item 5 is Debbie Thompson. We have our SEMA HR consultant here with a presentation. So at this point in time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Debbie for her presentation. If you wish, you can come up here and I'll turn the mic this way.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, my name is Debbie Thompson. For those of you in the public, I am the HR consultant for SERMA, which is the insurance part of Shelby County. And one of the reasons I'm here is I've been doing HR for 4 years. I have a master's in HR and an HR certification. I've been doing this a long time. And Shelby County is one of the very few counties that do not have a countywide handbook. And that is a huge risk. I did put out some information. There are 6 really primary reasons why you should have a countywide handbook. And predominantly, it's to make sure that your employment laws are clearly articulated so that your employees know what their rights are, how they wish to be communicated with, and the protocol about hours of work, pay periods, timekeeping. Timekeeping is vital, more vital today than it's ever been in Illinois. Most of you may know, January 1st, the Illinois Paid Leave for All Workers Act became effective, and it is a very, very stringent law. There are huge record-keeping requirements. There are huge penalties, upwards to $2,500 for each incident. When an employee is not allowed the time off. And what that is, just generally, I don't want to waste your time. I know you've got a really big agenda tonight. I served 14 years on the Sangamon County Board, so I know exactly what you guys do. And we had the same department heads, the same elected officials. So I know what you do here. And I tell you unequivocally, you guys are at risk because you don't have a single wide county employee handbook. This is not taking control from the fine elected officials in this county, or any county, but more importantly, it gives you a guidebook in which employees have clear expectations about what they're supposed to do. And who doesn't want to be communicated with as an employee, right? I know you've got a timekeeping policy. I've done a little research, and on your website, you have a payroll policy and procedure. Albeit, it doesn't have a date on it, so I wasn't sure how long ago, but it appears that you could be violating your very own payroll policy because all timekeeping records, all time off records are to be housed where payroll is conducted. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it is important. And I will be working with the legislative committee on a countywide handbook because I think it is best practice. It will protect you from lawsuits and human rights cases. I've sat on many court cases and EEOC claims. Never lost a one, by the way, because documentation is really important. But I will tell you, I am here to help you. As part of the SERMA contract, you get my services. So I would ask that you use those, and I'm happy to work with anyone here, any department head, the legislative committee, the county board as a whole. I've watched some of your county board meetings. I know how you operate. I think this will be the best thing that you ever did for your county employees. And let alone, it's a good recruitment tool. You guys have benefits, right? So why not use those as part of the handbook and have your employees acknowledge them so they truly understand the rules of the road here. There are 7 new employment laws that became effective January 1st. And one of them, the one I mentioned previously, the Illinois Paid Leave for All Workers Act. And for those of you who don't know, it's every employee on the payroll that receives 1 hour of leave for every 40 hours of work, up to 40 hours on an annual basis. Are we doing that? Is the poster up? The poster was supposed to be up January 1. Are all of your employment posters up to date? And they have to be wherever you have employees. I know you have different locations, so it's really important that you have up-to-date employment posters as well. The fines are stiff. They're pretty steep. You don't want to go there. And I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, but I'm just advising that you need to do something to have a countywide employee handbook. So I don't know if there's any questions or you're allowed to ask questions.
Sure, is there any questions that Debbie watches here?
Yes, sir.
So you say you work with legislative, that's to create the handbook, other policies, so you're working with legislative to do exactly what again?
Well, maybe I misspoke. I understand your legislative committee kind of handles HR-related things, policies.
But we don't have one, so.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess that's what I'm asking. So you will be available
Absolutely.
for consultation with templates?
I build them from scratch because I'll tell you, you cannot just build a template for a handbook. I have to know what the benefits are, what your hours of work are. Of course, let me also be clear, this has nothing to do with the current collective bargaining agreements that you have in place. Those actually drive pay, hours of work, all of those things. The handbook takes care of all those other things. For example, the Paid Leave Act, which is not part of the collective bargaining, and it won't be until you bargain again when that contract expires. So right now the contract prevails in that case. But most importantly, it's important on leaves, family medical leave, the VESA Act, pregnancy rights, all of those things that you have to follow as an employer. But you pay for that service through SERMA. So here I am. So I'm just letting you know I'm here to help the county in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Debbie?
Will that include a supervisor or an administrative also book, similar to what we had when I worked for the state of Illinois? You had one for supervisors, their rights and rules, and then you had your employees handbook.
Was that under a union contract?
Yes.
Okay. There
But there
probably
also
won't
was
be.
state statutes that are also in that we had to follow.
Right,
as a supervisor.
that will be in one big handbook. Now, if you want to have a supervisor's guide, like when someone moves from a single role to a supervisor or management role, we can build that. It's just what you need to do with employees, how to coach employees. I don't know, do you do annual performance reviews? I think that's also a good practice, because I'm going to tell you, if an employee sues the county, the first thing that an attorney asks for is, I want to see their performance review. Documentation, performance reviews, and it works both ways. It's for the employee's benefit, and it's also for the leader's benefit, and the county, most importantly.
Any questions of the board?
Will it keep us from paying an employee for 2 months if it wasn't here?
Jay, questions from the board?
No.
Pretty
I've
quiet.
never been on watch your board meetings. Thank you very much.
Martha?
I just would like one more comment. One, thank you, Debbie, for coming and addressing the group. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll probably keep saying it. CIRMA is our employer, or not employer, insurance company. It's the cooperative through which we get our insurance. It is vital to the financial well-being of the county that we maintain that coverage. CIRMA has the right every 3 years at the negotiation of the contract to boot us from that program if we are not performing well, and by performing well, I mean our losses and those kinds of things. And it is working with the other handout that Debbie brought that I put on everybody's chair, are all the services that we have available to us from CIRMA that we need to utilize. It's important that we utilize all of these services. I know Amos came down as loss control and met with Michael and Sheriff McReynolds here a few months ago, but if we don't do what we need to do and we be booted from CIRMA, I'm telling you, the premiums of our insurance, if we're lucky, would double and could easily, in today's marketplace, triple or better. I think the last time that it got shopped out outside of CIRMA, the premium was $100,000 higher at that time, and we're in a very, very different, especially commercial property marketplace right now. So thank you again to Debbie. We appreciate her coming, and I hope we'll all heed the information that she shared, and that we can work together with the elected officials and the legislative committee and work together to get a county-wide employee handbook put together for the protection of everybody.
Very good, thank you. We'll skip to item 7, which is Scott McKee. He may direct a discussion vote on countywide membership to the IPWMAN, which is the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network.
Did everyone get the information that I sent them? Does anybody have any questions about it? Okay.
Can you give a quick overview for everybody of what the...
IPWN is essentially an Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. So that means for $250 a year, if there's a tornado or some other natural disaster or even a planned event that overwhelms our resources as far as public works, we can have 5 free days of mutual aid from all over the state of Illinois for just $250 a year.
Is there a motion to approve? Martha has the motion, Lori's got the second. Is there any discussions, questions while we have Scott here? Teresa?
Is this something new?
It is new.
This
Yes.
is shared school?
No, not just this year. It's been in the works since 2018, I think. But it's, slowly building traction. We do have 3 neighboring counties that are already involved.
And which ones are those?
That would be Clay, Effingham, and Lawrence County. They've got, 13 different memberships from those counties. And there's 470 members throughout the state of Illinois. I mean, this covers everything from small tools to semi-trucks to actually getting emergency management teams in here to help with cleanup and direction.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? It will incur a cost, so we will take a roll call. If I could have the roll call reversed in order, please, go from bottom to top.
May I
ask why.
Go from bottom to top.
Okay, if I remember right, there's something in the law that says the roll has to be called in alphabetical order. I don't know that it says ascending or descending, but I think that might apply descending order. No?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
You're calling the roll from bottom to top?
Right.
Okay. It was just, I remembered reading in the law that you have to call it in order. I don't know if it says ascending or descending though.
Maybe ascending.
I don't have definitive. Go ahead. It's
Roll call, please. Ascending.
Top to bottom.
Yes.
Mark Hamlin,
yes.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bain,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Doug Keenan,
Yes.
Sean Marks,
Yes.
Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Keith McCormick,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
Bob Dorman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Shuck,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 8. Final time.
Can you go back to 6? Kenny Schwindel's here.
Oh, they are. Sorry. I did not catch it. Yeah, I guess we go back to 6. That'd be just fine. I was going to get some of these other, but I didn't realize Kenny was here. Apologize. Item 6 is discussion and vote from the board chair. As county commissioner, to approve a special use permit for No Bad Days Farm for liquor sales by Tipsy Settler at the Fair Farm located in Shelbyville, June 1st, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the Rhythm and Blues Festival. Is there a motion to approve? Carol makes a motion, he seconds the motion. Any discussion on the approval?
We've done this before, haven't we?
Yes, I think for 2 or 3 years at least, 3 years. So,
Is there a fee incurred with that?
you remember, Kenny, what do you pay the $600 fee for that day?
I think it's maybe 15 at the most for special use permit.
I can't remember. Yeah. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to item 8, which is Michael County Highway Engineer with the engineer's report. And we have a few resolutions and various other things to go over. So, Michael, you're on the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I do like to start off, I know I keep saying it, but I would like to continue saying thank you to the board. We definitely have a lot of good support from all of you in a number of different ways, and we do appreciate it for county, so, and our department. So I'm just going to go through my report first, continue with the brags on our department and what we've been doing. Specifically in our maintenance, we have moved forward with the purchase and use of our new grader that the board approved for us last month. We have the grader in our facility, and whenever the weather clears up, we're definitely going to put it to good use, and we definitely appreciate it. The guys are super happy about it, having the support from the board to get this equipment in there. So just wanted to start with that. So as far as the guys, what they've been doing, we've been, for the last month, reclaiming of shoulders throughout the county. Full reconstruction of a lowboy trailer. We've saved a lot of money. This is a $100,000 trailer, and we're basically reconstructing it due to salt damage over the last number of years. And my guys are doing a very good job. It's going to be substantial for a while. Filling the potholes throughout the county, clearing them right away throughout the county, rock hauling, 50/50s on Prairie Township, which we completed under budget and well under the time frame that they were needed. Testing of several trucks, several culvert installations, signage. We have other big projects. Next week we're doing a pug mill of 2,200 tons, which the board approved previously for us to do. We have a Todd's Point drainage project that we're going to be doing, and we plan to reconstruct some of the ditches on the west side of Finley Road as soon as the weather allows us and permits. My front office team, my engineering team, has also been busy. We've done the bid letting of 2 bridges, looked into lots of different grants, trying to get as much grant money into the county as possible. We've done acceptance letters for hauling, bidding, and aggregate and oil. County Highway 5 reconstruction. We do have a reconstruction project that is looking to stir up in the next, hopefully this fall or early spring. It's County Highway 5, which is headed north out of Shelbyville. It is looking to asphalt from where they stopped the current asphalt up to the Coon Creek Road. So that could be this fall at the earliest, or it might be next spring construction. So there will be heavy construction, so we appreciate you guys being patient with the construction crews as well, and keeping everybody safe. So we have ICC coordination on multiple railroad crossings. Next week we're doing a pug mill, as discussed, and several other just minor things, trainings and nuclear density grade recertification, just organization around the office, and other design. So another project we'll be doing is a culvert replacement under County Highway 22, which is west of Cowden, between Cowden and Herrick. This will require the road to be shut down temporarily, but it is required. The culvert is starting to fail underneath the road, and it needs to be replaced as soon as possible. So there are several railroad crossings that are stirring up further. I keep bringing this one up, but we have 3 that are moving. They are stipulated agreements that are being signed by the ICC, which are basically mandating that we reconstruct those likely within the next couple of years. So they are moving and progressing. So, all right. So County Highway 3, which is east of Finley, we are still working on the design of that roadway, and I'm still waiting to hear from the official word from IDOT when we will be allowed to reconstruct that. They are the ones that are holding the money and the funding for that project, and I would have thought I would have heard by now, and I keep bugging our IDOT people to see if we can get that resolved as soon as possible. But, so it is underway, and we're doing everything we can to get that reconstructed. There is a small bridge in Herborn. It is still on schedule for May 2024 construction. We have 2 bridges in Oconee Township, approximately half a mile away from each other. The one was awarded previously about last month for $498,000, and the one to the east is on for the agenda tonight to be approved for resolution for $495,000. We had a guardrail bid letting, which is also a resolution for tonight. It came in under budget, and very happy with the results of that. But it's also a resolution for you guys' approval tonight. We've done lots of bridge inspections throughout the county and set another 5 bridges in motion. And Ameren has completed a project on the south side of our county, and in doing that they caused damage to our road. And they have since though paid us $85,000 for those reconstruction, and we will work to get that road back up and going. Lots of other trainings for myself and my team, and with that is my report. If there is anybody that has any questions on that.
Mark, would you mention how many bridges we have in this county?
359, I believe. And yeah, 359 bridges. So.
You mentioned Ameren paying back the damages on the roads. Was that as a result of the road use?
Not that. That was prior to the road use agreement. So, but I've heard there is certain other things, and I'm glad that we have that road use agreement in place for covering ourselves. But that was prior to it. So.
We're good.
Yep.
Any other questions before we move to the resolution? Hearing none, we will take a vote on these resolutions as follows. Item A is resolution to award road bid for guardrail replacement to Midwest Fence with a bid of $55,709. Is there a motion? Tim makes the motion. Is there a second? He seconds the motion. Any discussion on the guardrail bid? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Amley,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bain,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Farnhammer,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Mayhaw,
Yes.
McCormick,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Warman,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Shutt,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item B is a resolution to award the low bid for removal and replacement of bridge in Oakland Township to Sanford Midwest Contracting with a bid of $495,847. Is there a motion? Tim makes the motion. Is there a second to the motion? Brent makes the second. Any discussion? I do have one quick question, Michael. So, like with these removal and replacement, you guys are doing the engineering part in-house now, so we don't have to go through, are we still going through engineering firms or?
For bridges, these tend to require actual structural engineer. So we do have to do some of the consulting or we have to hire a consultant as a structural engineer. So we will handle as much as we can in-house. There are some smaller bridges. I'm trying to get to the smaller bridges I might be able to handle internally a little bit more, but the bigger bridges we do still require, I have no way of getting around that with IDOT. It requires a structural engineer. So.
I just remember in the last few years we were working with several different engineering firms to get one project done, so just want to look clear.
Yep.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Amley,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bain,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Farnhammer,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Mayhaw,
Yes.
McCormick,
Yes.
Morse,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Warman,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Shutt,
Yeah.
Tate,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item C is resolution to approve a no passing zone signage for Finley School Zone on County Highway 3 west of Finn. Is there a motion to approve? Got Tim Brown on the motion, then got Mark Bennett on the second. Any discussion on this signage?
Got a question.
Jeremy?
How long, is it just in the school zone?
Yes, it would be in the school zone. They are having issues of people passing in that area, which is definitely an unsafe for the kids. So there is statutory law that allows them to pull over, but the village, which has already gone, this has already gone to the village for their approval, and they are fully and unanimously in support of this as well. So I want this to be in action. So.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Michael, do we need to address item D?
I just wanted to bring it up. Looking to hire an additional maintenance worker within our department, and just wanted to, publicly announce it to see if there's any other applicants that anybody knows of that they would want to send our way. And in addition, it will be something that slightly goes over our budget for this year, so I want to make sure that the county board is accepting of that. I feel comfortable that we can allow this, we can basically cover this within our budget, but I just do want to make sure that it is acceptable by the county board that we move forward with this.
My short response to that is keep it within your budget. We've only had, 7 more months to this fiscal year, so if there's an adjustment you can make, that you can make it work, but if we don't have to amend your budget, then don't hire somebody and cause an amendment, or cause a budgetary crunch. That's my initial knee-jerk response. Any other comments from the board? Mark?
We talked about this in committee that having to do with the budget. They did receive additional money from the sale of their track hoe, also with a lot of the in-house accomplishments they have done. So he's actually saved a lot of money in other areas now, whether that's allowed to be moved within his budget. Just food for thought.
Any other comments, questions about it?
Is this opening going to be posted somewhere, so, like advertised so people can see it?
We have asked to be put on the website, so we have posted it. It should be posted on the website if it's not already soon. So.
Any questions, comments on item D? All righty, we'll move on. Thank you, Mike. It brought to my attention that item 13 will be first in the next sequence of agenda items, so if we could address item 13 first. What?
You can turn that thing. You can turn it backwards. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's not me.
Popped me right behind.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure, I can address that first.
Sure.
If that's what you want. I think I'd rather have us decide to farm the farm and cash rent it. But I have a farmer who has decided that if we do not vote to cash rent it, he will farm for us. And that's Stu Fox. So he has agreed to plant and harvest a crop on the Shelby County farm for 2024 growing season. He would provide the equipment, the fuel, and the manpower to make sure the crop is planted and harvested in a timely manner. And for this, he expects nothing in return for his labors. Shelby County would agree to supply the seed and the chemicals for the 2024 crop. And at the end of the harvest, a check for the sale of the crop will be awarded to the Shelby County. This agreement would start April the 12th, which is tomorrow, and ends at the end of the harvest season. And he feels like he's basically giving the county a little over $9,000 because I believe that's what it cost us for Kenny to custom farm last year. Is sowing the weed and harvesting the weed.
Okay. So now we know what item 13 is. We'll move back to item 9. We'll open the floor for discussion and vote for the ordinance concerning the county farm. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Carol makes the motion to approve the ordinance. Is there a second?
Yes.
Teresa seconds the motion. Now, open the floor for discussion. Mitchell.
We had a farm committee meeting last
Monday.
Monday night. Or was it this Monday?
Yeah.
It was this Monday. Yeah. And we, as you see the agenda, we pushed some items to the floor for the county board to discuss and vote on, or not to vote on, whichever. So we had an ordinance drafted, and we read that ordinance in farm committee at the request of a public body, or a person in the public. And then he asked a question, he or she asked a question about public purpose. I almost wish he hadn't asked that question, but it was asked, so we had to address it. So in this ordinance, and I don't know who's all seen it, who has it, we had we really didn't have a public purpose in that ordinance at all. So that led me to believe I got to do some more research. So I've got some things here I'll bring to the forefront of how the County Farm got started and where we're at as of 2021 anyway. In 1818, the first Illinois state constitution was adopted. The original poor farm was in 1819. That's when they, mandated the public, or the counties to get a poor farm. In 1868, Dillon's Rule was applied. I don't know if everybody understands Dillon's Rule, but the government body can exercise only the powers explicitly granted to them in law. If a law does not say you can do it, then you can't do it. Plain and simple. 1917, renamed to county homes from poor farm. And in 1938, we had a court case, Yackley versus Johnson court ruling. Since the county has only the rights and privileges granted to it, either by legislature or by the Constitution, we cannot find in the provisions of the statute or in the adjudicated cases in our Supreme Court that the county has the power, either expressly or by implication, to lease public property for private purposes. 1967, county homes were repealed, meaning the Public Aid Code repealed the county home laws and deauthorized the county homes remaining in Illinois. And then in 1970, most recent adoption of Illinois State Constitution was Article 8, Section 1, public funds, property or credit shall be used only for public purposes. And in 1974, Attorney General opinion in Stevenson County and this is his opinion, from the foregoing, it is my opinion that a county may not lease real estate owned by it and held in public trust by a private individual to be used by such individuals for private farming operations on an annual cash rental basis. Attorney General, and in 1975, Attorney General opinion to Logan County, 240-acre farm. The power, this was an opinion, Attorney General opinion actually. The power to lease public property granted by Section 24 does not authorize counties to lease their property for private purpose. Then in 1993, the legislature added 55 ICLS 5/5-10.1049.2. I can read that if you want to. Lease of county property. The county board may lease real estate acquired or held by the county for any term not exceeding 99 years, and may lease the real estate when, in the opinion of the county board, real estate is no longer necessary, appropriate, required for the use of, profitable to, or for the best interest of the county. The authority to lease shall be exercised by an ordinance passed by a 3/4 vote of the county board members then holding office at any regular meeting or any special meeting called for that purpose. However, the county board may authorize any county officer to make leases for the term not exceeding 2 years in county board, blah, blah, blah. And I'll give you an example. In 1994, how the counties, how government can properly lease county property. And this is just one instance. I'm sure there's more, but for time's sake, we'll do one. Kankakee County leased extra offices to Kankakee County Labor Management Association. Reference as an example to the last board meeting, actually lease agreement references Illinois State Constitution Article 8 has authority to lease, and that the lease satisfies the public test. And the Kankakee County leased extra offices to County Labor Management, which constituted public purpose of that property, of the county property. Then in 2021, there were 0 cases of county-owned land being legally authorized to lease for private farm use. A new Attorney General opinion has been received yet on this matter. So, I got a letter here from, I can't say his name, the current Attorney General, Raul, how do you say that? There's several different things in here about how the Constitution does apply to the laws, and laws can't supersede any part of the Constitution. And I took an oath, and I'll read the oath. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner of Shelby County according to the best of my ability. So, and then there was, we had 1076 come about, which is an amendment to 55 ICLS 5/5, 10.49.2. And his last name is Plummer. It said counties and units of local government do make sure that whatever agreements they enter into regarding leasing farm ground abides by Illinois Constitution. It's Article 8, Section 1 again states public funds, property, or credit shall be used only for public purposes. So we've been around and around and around about public purpose. We've searched all winter long for Carol's involved in a meeting with economic development, I think it was. We tried to do something with Brenda Elder and that group, but we found out there was a conflict because they got money budgeted for their department, so you can't, they wouldn't, a 501c3 type thing. So I've yet to be able to find a public purpose that constitutes according to Article 8, Section 1. So I'd be more than happy to hear any arguments, support, or arguments you want.
Open the floor for discussion.
Well, you're saying, based on your research, that we should not do this, we should not pass this ordinance? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to tell you how to vote.
But I'm just asking if that's what your research is
That's
telling
what
us.
my research tells me, according to a lot of different opinions. Because there's more, there's 13 pages of opinions there.
I understand.
It just is. There's a lot of opinions, and then there's some that they can't opine on, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Jerry.
Mitch talked about public purpose a lot there. We've heard that phrase a lot over the last few years. I tried to expound on that on Monday night in the farm committee meeting. A few examples of legitimate bona fide public purpose. I'll just use the courthouse, the building we're in right now, as the first example. People can come here, the public can come here and do their business with the county. We have meetings and proceedings that the public can attend. There are public records stored here. That all serves a public purpose. The Sheriff's Department does a lot of those same things, plus house dangerous criminals to serve and protect the public. It's an obvious public purpose. The Highway Department, as another example, they have a facility and tools and equipment. They have records there. There are meetings. They build and maintain roads and bridges that anyone in the public may use. That's an obvious public purpose. Whether it's a custom farm, a crop share, a cash rent lease, or someone just coming in and doing it for us for nothing, the growing of wheat, corn, and beans, or whatever crop, is not a public purpose for the use of the land. Mitch read Article 8, Section 1 there, and there is an annotated version of that, of the entire Constitution, and it's written for legislators, and we are the legislators for Shelby County. We are the legislative body. And so that annotated version says the use to which the land is put must also benefit the public. So even if it makes money for the county, which is an argument I hear consistently, making money is being in business, and being in business is not a public purpose. Making money isn't a public purpose. What we actually do with the land, the parcel, the property, the dirt, whatever you want to call it, whatever we do with the land must benefit the public. And we don't have, as Mitch pointed out extremely well, we don't have a public purpose, and a lot of different kinds of things have been tried and shot down by court rulings, by Constitution, by Attorney General opinion. And so I agree with Mitch's assessment. We don't have the constitutionally required public purpose. And I looked up the video from the Senate floor when they were debating the HB 1076, which amended 1049.2 that Mitch read. And one senator asked the bill sponsor if he was trying to change the Constitution with the passage of HB 1076. And of course, a bill passed in Congress does not change the Constitution. You have to have an amendment for that. But he said, no, I'm not trying to change the Constitution. Counties still must meet the constitutional requirement for public purpose. And I have that video at that point pulled up on my phone, and we can play that at the microphone if you want, if you think we need to.
I think we've all heard it.
Okay.
Is there anybody that hasn't liked to hear it? Mark?
We've talked about the public purpose a huge amount, and a lot of the presentation that Mitch gives are things that was put together 3.5 years ago. For those that were not on the board or in the audience at that time, a lot of these issues were showed at that period. There have been some additions to that as well. So a lot of his presentation is not something that's completely new. But one item that we have not emphasized that just actually popped out to myself as he was reading this. In the original 55 ILCS 5/5/1049.2, in the middle of it, it says profitable to. Those two words alone, besides the public purpose, shows that the county is not supposed to be making money off of this land.
What paragraph is that one?
It's a 1973 legislation. They've added the 55 ILCS 5/5/1049.2. If you would like for me to read the pre-sentence to it, I will. Let's see. In the opinion of the county board, real estate is no longer necessary, appropriate, required for the use of, comma, profitable to, or for the best interest of the county. And that's one of them that we had never brought out before, that I recall anybody ever bringing up.
And there have been amendments to 55 ILCS 5/5-1049.2.
And I think Mitch addressed those.
Yes. He didn't read the whole thing, which I'll read the rest of it. He read about the authority to lease shall be exercised by an ordinance passed by 3/4 of the full county board, then holding office at any regular meeting or at any special meeting called for that purpose. notwithstanding substation upon 3/4 vote by the full county board may lease farmland acquired or held by the county for any term not exceeding 5 years. Farmland may be leased to either public or private entities via a cash lease, crop sharing arrangement, or custom farming arrangement. The bid process for a lease entered into under this subsection must be publicly advertised, and sealed bids must be opened at a county board meeting for public review. County shall not acquire farmland for the sole purpose of entering into a cash lease, crop sharing arrangement, or custom farming arrangement, or other speculative purpose. That's the newest amendment.
Right.
I'd just like to go back to the conversation on the floor in Springfield that Mitch had spoke to and Jeremy spoke to, and it was Senator Plummer made a statement. I wrote it down verbatim, but he says, this bill, speaking to House Bill 1076, also does nothing to address the fact that counties and local units of government do need to make sure that whatever agreements they enter into regarding leasing farm ground abides by the Constitution as well. So there's been some comments made in the public over the last X number of months that House Bill 1076 basically amended the Constitution, and it did not, and Senator Plummer spoke specifically to that any action we would take still has to abide by the Constitution. Article 8, Section 1, general provisions of the Illinois State Constitution says public funds, property, or credit shall be used only for public purposes. And I think we just keep coming back to the same thing over and over and over again.
Right, even in 64, the question was asked, may the county board lease the county farm to a private individual for an annual cash rental? And at the end, it says we cannot find in the provisions of the statute or in the education cases of the Supreme Court that a county has the power, either expressly or implied, to lease county property for private purposes. So that's in a 64 opinion. And then they referenced Yackley v. Johnson, which goes on to describe the prohibition of local governments engaging in the private business, i.e. buying a product to receive a product, to sell a product. You know, that's business. So as far as all three venues listed in the statute, I don't find any of the three to be constitutionally sound in a private purpose setting. In a public purpose setting, we have all the authority in the world, but we cannot find a private public purpose setting. Mitch.
And some people will ask, well, the airport's got farm ground, we can farm the airport. Well, if we had a hangar out there on the county poor farm, we could farm a runway, we could farm that with no problems, because it is a public purpose matter at that point. Which airport is a whole other thing that I don't quite understand. Maybe Carol can, she sits on that committee. So.
It just supports the airport.
Yeah.
Profit from the crop of the sale crop.
So in 69, there was an opinion on that as well. There were several questions asked on that particular deal as far as whether that don't really fall into this question, but there was a question, must there be adequate consideration for such lease, or there only be a total consideration for the benefit of all the community? And then a question two is lease a portion of the county farm to the city to be used in conjunction with other lands by the general public to the airport. So if you look at 2 and 4, answers 2 and 4, in that case, they find public purpose in this one. But that is because they're directly in conjunction with an already statutorily guided entity. It's an inherent purpose. The airport is an inherent purpose. It is written statute. So is the health department, so is the sheriff's department, so is the courthouse. So they all have inherent written statutory purposes and for specific statute. Mitch?
Yeah, I had two colleagues here ask me questions. I wanted to bring it out to light because I don't want to have sidebar conversations without the public being able to hear it. You know, I mentioned the word annex, and they asked the question about annex in the airport, and he brought up the point that, and I don't know the laws or nothing about this, but I think to have an airport, to annex that into an airport, they have to actually be touching.
You have to be touching.
Yeah. So that's what that conversation would be about.
What statute says it has to touch?
To annex, you have to be adjacent pieces.
I'm asking the reference. I mean, we're not going on opinions on this stuff anymore, right? We're going with facts.
Right.
So what's the reference to that?
So that would be in Department of Revenue law with the tax code.
That's not specific.
That's where you find it.
But you were certain, so I'm just asking if you were certain.
Mark, you have anything?
Yes, part of the area of the airport has to do with the safety zone. And you can't farm right up next to the edge of the runway. So they have to have a safety zone around it. And you're not going to make a runway the entire property of the airport. That's for part of the reason there has to be some extra area. Why they decide to let them farm it, I do not know.
I'm sorry, are you addressing me with that?
No, I was trying to answer for you.
I sat on the airport board for several years as chairman.
Any other discussions, questions about the ordinance? The ordinance
Hey, Bobby, I question you saying that the properties have to touch each other for an annexation. They annexed Lithia Springs Marina into the city of Shelbyville
Right.
years ago.
Right.
They don't touch.
If you look at city limits, they put a skinny little path out there.
The lands don't touch.
Going across.
When they annexed it, they connected the property. They connected the property to annex it. How they did it, I don't know. But if you look at city limit maps, there is there's a path, a sidewalk, or something that goes out there. Is there a sidewalk?
It actually goes across the water
Yeah.
from what I...
From what I've seen, it goes straight across the lake.
Yeah. So, yes, they made it touch to get the annex. But to recap what Mitch said, long and short, there was the ratification in 1867 of the Shelby County as a county of Illinois, operating under the legislative acts at the time. They purchased the poor farm. 1967, the state legislature abolished the language requiring poor farm, therefore taking away its inherent public purpose. For what, 67 now, it's been 50 some odd years. We've basically been going against numerous AG opinions and breaking the Constitution. You know, it's kind of like other things. You know, can we take other government property and go and do work on personal property, using public property on personal property? The same thing. Yes, please.
For example, I mean, just a hypothetical example, if the county owned a building, just a structure, we can't necessarily lease that to a private company, correct? Is that
correct?
Same type, unless it benefits the public, correct?
No.
No, nothing?
Before we split that here, I'll just say, because there's some other case law that reference, or not case law, AG opinions that reference even having abundance of property, you start to diminish your public purpose for the areas that aren't being used. If they're not being used, they're not being used, but if they're being used, then it has to provide to be under public purpose.
I just found something real quick. Section 70 ILCS 5/9.1. That's titled Vote to Annex Contiguous Territory to Airport Authority. And it starts with any territory which is not within the corporate limits of any airport authority, but which is contiguous to an airport authority, and which territory has no electors residing herein, or any such territory with electors residing thereon, may be annexed to the airport authority in one of the following ways. And then it goes on to list those ways. But in that first sentence, it says contiguous to the airport authority. So I think that's the part that speaks to the land needing to be contiguous.
That number?
I found, just in a quick Google search, Section 70 ILCS 5/9.1, and that is titled Vote to Annex Contiguous Territory to Airport Authority. And then it goes into how to annex that, but it specifically uses the word, again, any territory which is not within the corporate limits of any airport authority, but which is contiguous to an airport authority. So to me, the word contiguous means touching next to.
Mitch, I'll come back to you. Tim, you go.
How far is the county farm from the airport? And could we do the same thing that the city did with Lithia Springs?
You'd have to go through somebody else's property.
Yeah.
We would have to go through several pieces of private property to get there.
It's really kind of close.
It's
From the end of the airport to the farm, it's actually pretty close. I mean,
Mile, quarter mile and a half.
Just take that land.
Is that right?
Just connect it all.
If you wanted to connect the airport, make the airport bigger,
Why don't we just give it to a 501(c) and call it good?
because the 501c3, the nonprofit, does not give public purpose. We have to have public purpose. We cannot give it. Okay? That's where I was hung up last fall. I was trying to figure out how to get a nonprofit to give us a public purpose, and that it just doesn't work that way.
Explain that a little better now.
So, public purpose. We don't give.
So what would a 50, if you can give it to a 501(c), or not give it, put whatever word you want in there, if a 501(c) takes it over,
Right.
and it's legal, then it seems like we're trying to connect everything to a public purpose, but then when you give it to a 501(c), it don't sound like you have to have a public purpose. I mean, how can a 501(c) be a public purpose and still be legal to farm to farm? Any lawyers out here?
I guess to the point, if I give you an example of maybe what you're asking, we have food pantries throughout the county.
Right.
Yeah. So then, to be able to raise crop to support the food pantries, does that not serve public purpose?
Okay. I think I found the opinion that references this. And it's, let's see, question. So this is the 61 opinion. And the question, or the counties and county boards power to lease civic auditorium from the Public Building Commission and levies taxes therefore. So there's parts of it that are irrelevant, but there are parts of it that are very relevant. The county lacks a statutory authority to lease a civic auditorium building as it is not for corporate purpose. So the auditorium didn't have a corporate purpose. So in this case, if the ground has to have a purpose before we can let a nonprofit use it. Whatever our property is, for example, this is the classic example I've got, and it's the only one I've got, is rural mass transit. We own the equipment. We lease the equipment to a private entity. That private entity provides a service to the public. The difference between rural transit or CEFS and this whole program is their existence, their operation is all written in the statute in the Department of Transportation. Whereas what is our use for the property? The farm ground. What is our use for it? Because all the transportation rural statutes, whatever that go into that, are specifically written out to how they operate, how they function in and out of the fiscal year, and their structure of chain of command, so to speak. So, where is the inherent public purpose here? Where does it
Feed the food banks.
Remember, we cannot create public purpose. We are only given public purpose through statute.
I don't know.
Clear as mud.
Are you saying that we need another entity to actually facilitate the food? In other words, the county can't actually give it away, but if we had someone that farmed the farm and then another entity that took that revenue and bought the food, then that would be the public service that you're...
Call the vote.
So right here, now I remember exactly where. So Dillon's rule, that's where we cannot create. We are given. We are given permissions. We are not given the ability to create a public purpose. That's another, what he's, Mitch referenced Dillon's rule earlier, and that is, we are given the authority to do things through permissions in the statute. If it is absent of any mention of anything, it is that we are to not do it. It is basically a no. So an absence of permission is a prohibition.
To help with that, Brett, the statute read, we may or we shall. That's all they say. They don't say you can't. They say you may do this, which means we have a choice. They say you shall do this, which means we don't have a choice, we have to do it. But if the statutes in the Dillon law state, which we are, don't tell us that we may or we shall, then we can't. And that's what Bobby's speaking to, and we can't create our own authority to do something because we are a Dillon law state. You have to read the statute.
So where it says you can give it to, or not give it, or whatever, to a 501(c), that's really just bull crap.
No, well, here's the 1977 opinion on it. I actually found the opinion here. So it says, lease of the county building to a not-for-profit corporation for public purposes. The leasing of a county-owned building to a not-for-profit corporation for the purposes of providing a dormitory facility, in this particular case, for a junior college, is the use of public property for the public purpose and therefore not in a contravention of Section 1 of the Constitution. I have your letter where you request my opinion following the question. Does the leasing of a county building for nominal consideration of Wabash College Foundation for a nonprofit corporation for the sole purpose of providing a dormitory constitute a lease of public property for a private purpose in contravention of Section 1A of Article 8? Then you scroll down a little bit. It is clear from the debates of the 6th Illinois Constitutional Convention that Section 1A of Article 8 was not intended to change the previous corresponding constitutional provision, as they had not interpreted and applied by the courts. Therefore, pursuant to that, the court interpretation transactions made between units of government and non-governmental corporations or entities, as long as public purpose is hereby served. The ultimate question is whether the use of public funds or property is for public purpose. So, next page. The powers of the community college district board, in this particular case, do not specifically include building or providing dormitory accommodations, but an explicit grant is not a prerequisite for the extension of power. From the foregoing, it is my opinion that the lease by the county of the building in question to the Wabash Valley College Foundation for the purpose of providing a dormitory facility for Wabash students would be a lease of public property for a public purpose and therefore not contravention of Article 8 in the Illinois Constitution. So, does that make sense?
Yeah. So what did the latest bill actually accomplish if it didn't give us the ability to lease the farm ground?
So what it did was it increased the vote from a simple majority to a three-quarter vote. And it then, all it did was add 3 venues for in which you could do something with the ground. So it didn't change the lease part of it. I mean, there's numerous opinions about leasing. It didn't change that aspect of it. And Yakima V. Johnson didn't change the aspect of whether or not a local unit of government can engage in business. There's not been anything that is challenged that to the best of my knowledge. So, as far as custom farm or cash lease, there is numerous opinions and case law that are against those two in a private purpose setting. Now, where crop share falls in between, it's a combination of the two, so inherently it's going to not work either. Mitch?
And all this stuff going around and around and trying to find public purposes that we've sort of high and low, every which direction we could think of. One gentleman brought up the fact, Mr. Yantis, I think it was, is that right? About, he had a great idea. It was a great idea. I mean, it's a noble thing. But in the end, the gentleman he sells it, you can't make this work, sell it. Get rid of it. Now, the point is, I am not here, and I do not want to have to do something like that. That's why I've spent so much whole winter looking for something, any ray of sunshine or light to give us an avenue. And I thought we maybe had something with this ordinance, because we thought we might have had a sole public purpose of good stewardship, but that still don't serve the public for the purpose of that land. If the legislators would have amended the Constitution, they didn't take the last step to make it actually fully constitutionally legal. County governments or any governments isn't made to ain't set up to make money. They're not made to set up to make money. If they did, they'd have to pay the income tax, I assume, at some level. Well, business has to pay income tax.
There's two problems right there on the front end and back end of especially a custom farm situation. So going into it, you have the Investments Act, which is a state, just state statute that indicates how we are to spend and invest our money. So that's one hurdle to go into it. And then on the back side, we're generating an income that is tax exempt. Well, all the rest of the neighbors, they're gonna pay taxes on their income. So, to each their own on that.
I just wish we could find a way. I wish we could, I really do.
Mr. Chairman.
Jeremy?
You touched on the Investment Act, and you also touched on Yackley versus Johnson. Dunn versus the County of Rock Island was an Illinois Supreme Court case that found that counties are not authorized to enter into private business. And Yackley versus Johnson reinforced that, and I believe that was actually cited in a very recent opinion delivered to the immediate now former state's attorney here on the farm, if I remember correctly. Counties are not authorized to enter into private business. So if we're going into this to make money by farming is a private business. The farmers prove that all the time. As soon as they start planting, they're going to prove it's a private business.
Actually, it was the 06 opinion where Lowley, the Honorable Alan Lowley, requested an opinion based on using public property for a private purpose. And they cited Yackley v. Johnson.
Okay, that's what it was.
So,
those court cases tell us we can't go into a business. We can't go into business. We can't be a business. We can't operate a business. We can't enter into private business. We can't enter into a private farming business any more than we can open up a waste disposal service, because that's a private business. We can't compete against our own constituents. We can't take a 240-acre farm and turn it into a racetrack and compete against the next guy's private business. We can't take any county property and open up a convenience store and compete against every other gas station around. We can't open up an antique shop next to Jake and Carol and compete against our own constituents. We can't go into private business. That's what those court cases have found. And whether we are in a crop share or a custom farm, we would have to input taxpayer money into the endeavor. The Investment Act does not allow for that. That leaves only a cash rent lease, and the cash rent lease is a business. It's real estate. It's like all of the parcels that we sell because the county got them from it's a tax sale. What if we were to keep those and rent those out and go into the real estate business? Cash rent leasing farm ground would be no different than that. It's still a business. So either way, all of the options are a private business, and the courts have found and upheld, and attorney generals have opined that we cannot enter into private business.
Can I put a motion, please?
I think that statute does address held only and previously owned county court farms. I think 1049.2 addresses that.
I'll be Carol.
Carol?
Can I pull the motion, please? We've gone on long enough and we're not getting anywhere.
With the honor of a second. So Carol has requested to withdraw the motion at the honor of a second. On the ordinance. Item 14 is the discussion and vote to apply cover crop and county farm as a contingency plan as an alternative to farming. Is there a motion on that?
I'd make a motion, but
Motion by Carol, second by Mitch. Any discussion on planting a cover crop?
I can read the bid sheet if anybody wants me to.
Yeah.
What it's for. A 2-year cash lease bid for Shelby County Farm.
We're on cover crop. Item 14.
I'm sorry. 14. Oh, cover crop. I guess we're not doing that one, sorry.
Well, item 9 dictates what item 10, 11, and 12. Right?
And then we just left 13. We
Well,
did that.
we have
vote on it.
addressed even the custom farm aspect of it, even with
We went to 13.
Right.
We didn't discuss it or vote on it.
Yeah, it's ambiguous at this point in juncture,
Mr. Chairman.
because there's nothing to vote on here, it's an alternative, we didn't know what the alternative was.
Failure to pass the ordinance doesn't appear that it would allow 13.
Exactly, that's what I was getting at earlier, it was 9 through 12, at least. So item 14 is the cover crop.
And you skipped 12, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All of it.
Bobby, is 13, are you saying 13 is a moot point because we would have to expend money to farm, to buy like seed and stuff?
Right.
Is that like?
So item 13, as described by Member Cole, it's a custom farm arrangement. The farmer was going to do all the work for free, he still had to buy the inputs to get the crop out, in and out. When we address the custom farm part as a private business, so it's all moved. Item 14, Mitch.
Well, I wanted her to read that again because I didn't quite, I think I understand it, but I wanted to be made clear what it is. The alternative.
Stu Fox agrees to plant and harvest a crop on the Shelby County farm for the 2024 growing season. He'll provide equipment, fuel, and manpower to make sure the crop is planted and harvested in a timely manner. For this, he expects nothing in return for his labors. Shelby County will agree to supply the seed and chemicals for the 2024 crop, which I might state is in our budget, and I got some bids for fertilizer and stuff today. At the end of the harvest, a check for the sale of the crop will be awarded to Shelby County. And it was signed by Stu Fox on 4/9.
I would like to just mention that buying inputs, which would be an investment, which I think Mark spoke to, is in violation of not only the Investment of Public Funds Act, but it also would be in violation of the Shelby County Investment Act. There is no provision for inputs into a farming operation.
Which, to clarify, the county ordinance is a mirror image of the state statute.
That's been approved by a prior auditor.
Hey, could I ask Eric a question? Can you expound on that, why it's not, as far as the Investment Act, or not the Investment Act, but what do you call it?
I mean, the statute basically says you cannot risk any principal.
Okay.
And with farming, if we go buy inputs, there is a potential to lose principal, and that can't happen.
You just don't want to farm, that's all.
So item 14 is to plant a cover crop. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Well, I didn't, okay. Carol, you still good with the motion on 14? Because I don't think we were on the same page on what item that we were on.
I made the motion
Okay,
For 14.
for
14. Then a motion and a second, any discussion? Mitch, do you have any discussion on item 14?
As a farmer, the only thing I can think of as far as a cover crop at this stage of the game would be to, because I went out there and looked at the farm a couple of weeks ago, but I'm sure, they've got more voluntary wheat and the grass and the weed are starting to come. So, as a farmer thinking, depending on the weather, how wet it is, if it stays wet till June, or if we can get in there and do something in May. Probably need to burn down to get a fresh start. You just go in there and no-till oats that's the only idea I would have. Or rye or something kind of cover crop, just to keep the weeds down.
So we're going to spend a lot of money for burn down.
Right.
We can go in there and disc it, I guess, I don't know.
We did that once and it was $6,000.
Burn down?
Burned down last year. Kenny did it. It was $6,000.
Kenny did the burn down?
He did, he did.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, but the burn down was more. It was like 10,000.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, the disking was it 6,000?
So if we approve the cover crop tonight, the committee can go back, submit all the bids, request the bids, bring it back to full board approval.
So what you're saying, Bobby, is we need to have another committee meeting to decide.
The what, the when, the how, and then bring it back to full board approval. So. Any other discussion?
But we can't vote.
Weren't we mandated
Cover crop.
to do a cover crop?
Mark?
We can't vote though, however, to pursue the cover crop.
Sure, yeah, it's on the agenda right here. Brent?
Ain't we mandated to do a cover crop?
No. No.
I thought it was mandated.
Part of it is HDL, which is highly rural land, so it's no-till, you can't till it. But as far as cover crop, there's no requirement for that. Any discussion? So,
Is this ground in CRP domain?
no.
There's no option there.
No, there were discussions with CRP, IRAP, other wildlife organizations within the governmental agencies of NRCS. Mission, you expand on that any?
IRAP program is Illinois Recreation Access Program. It's ran by DNR. The way I understand it, we've done a lot of emailing back and forth with the officials that don't know about this and have done it in the past. It's all wild what IRAP is for. You have to do it in either an intergovernmental agreement with IDNR, the county does, or you have to, like you said, bid it out to 501c3s to handle the paperwork, to do then they get to crop the ground, but they get to keep the money outside, the 501c3. And then we can request a percentage of the gross dollars for farm maintenance or something, I'm assuming, whether it be mowing, limestone, whatever, waterway work, ditch work, roadway work, whatever the case may be. But if you're dealing through 501c3, that 501c handles all the cropping, inputs everything. Or if you don't crop, then you can put it in grassland as well, at non-cropping. Then you don't have to do the 501c3. You just do the intergovernmental agreement with DNR. And that's an annual contract thing. It's not a 3 or 10-year thing. It's annual. But that property has to qualify as well. So how it qualifies is the rep comes out and looks for signs for turkey, deer, whatever, rabbit, pheasant, whatever, and then they issue them permits. IDNR issues them permits to the public, and that becomes the limit. I would call it limited public purpose. It's not true 100% public purpose, but it is a public purpose at some level.
Yeah, but
and then they pay the taxes as well, 501c3 does.
Right. But you don't have to have the whole thing in the IDNR. You can, because there's already some that's, you could set aside for that.
And I can't answer that question, didn't get that deep into it, but we was fairly deep into it, because we was emailing and talking to people about coming out and actually doing the investigation that the land even qualified. And now you guys can do that. I mean, that's something if this board wanted to.
Well, did they say that if they came out and you could still go ahead and farm the 100 and some acres?
You'd hit the 501c3 would have to do that.
But it'd still get farmed.
It'd still get farmed, and then
ain't that what we're wanting?
Yeah, we want to keep the weeds down. That's the idea, to keep the weeds down somehow, some way. So
no, I want to farm.
Well, I understand. I mean, well, then you have to, the way this lady told me, is you have to 501c3 it at that point.
Right.
And then let them do the paperwork with the IDNR, and then they hire their farmer, they buy the crops, they buy everything, they pay the taxes.
The 501(c)(3),
501(c), they get the profit outside of what,
but that's public purpose then.
assuming, that's
So
my
then it can be
opinion.
farmed and
That's my opinion, it's public purpose. So the 501(c)(3) gets the profit
Right.
outside of what the county board or request. You know, they may have a 5, like I just suggested in my mind, a 5% retention of gross dollars for county maintenance and meetings and different things.
Right.
Just common, you know, something. That's a way to possibly do it. Now, if your board wants to, if the board wants to pursue that activity, I still got the contacts, and it's high management, it's somewhat of high management. And it's an annual thing, so you have to keep rolling it every year. And that's if the rep comes out and finds that it's qualified.
now it stays in that with that 501(c), or it gets bid out every year.
No, I don't know that question. I would assume it may have to be rebid out if it's only an annual event.
Well, I would think every year.
But I don't know, yeah, that's a water question.
But the establishment of what the IRAP program is for
Permitted hunting.
permitted hunting is for the establishment of habitat and other things like that. So if there's an annual lease and they go through the process of establishing habitat, the next lease may not have habitat on it.
Well, then he said, this guy, I can't remember his name, I got his name, but he said, you go ahead and crop it, that's your cover crop, your crop is your cover crop. It just is what it is. But there is restrictions on when that 501(c)(3) can be out there harvesting crops. If it's turkey season, they can't be out there. If it's deer season, that harvester can't be running if it's deer season. That's what he told me, so. I don't know if the property qualifies. I mean, I can call the guy and set up something, he can. That's up to you guys.
I think you might have touched on it, and of course, that 501(c) would have to be bid.
Have to be bid, the 501(c)(3), I think it'd be appropriate, I don't know if it's a law, but I think it'd be appropriate to give all 501(c)(3)s the opportunity. Now, I don't know how you're going to, when they want, if you've got 3 of those that apply, how are you going to differentiate, because there's no money involved. I guess you're just going to have to go on experience and, you know, a lot of different criteria. Responsible and all that. And they've got the responsibilities to be able to accomplish something like that. Not all 501(c)(3)s are able to farm 200 acres of land.
Right. So kind of wrap up this conversation and get to a vote on item 14. I can hands down say that members on this board who've been on this board for years have done research since they've been on this board, and it always comes back to the same result. However, the problem has been with the new faces, both in the gallery and the board, we have to go back through this and go back through this and go back through this. It's the same result. So, you know, the nonprofit avenue, I thought I had a dead ringer last fall, and it just, anyway. I even debunked my own research, so it's not for lack of trying. Any other questions, comments on the cover crop line 14?
I got one question. If we vote to do the cover crop, is it a possibility, not that I want to do it, you know, I don't have so much time been involved and so much phone calls have been involved, but if we do this, if we approve this tonight, is it a possibility that you want to investigate IRAP, or will the cover crop be done if we approve this? I hadn't heard that yet. I don't.
Mostly hinges on their evaluation.
It's not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda.
That's right.
So,
This item is to express to the farm committee that the board wishes to plant a cover crop, to send them back to committee to investigate that. Is that correct? This not to actually do it, but to give them a direction, and then they'll bring that back?
right, because the committee doesn't have any authority to spend funds or make any decision on behalf of the board.
So in that process, they're welcome to bring other ideas, not only just this one, so.
Any other questions, comments? We'll take a vote. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 14 carries. Item 15 is discussion and vote to approve the county to hire a camera operator to live stream county board and committee meetings. Is there a motion? Martha makes the motion. Is there a second? Second by Julie. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. There's been a few technical issues with our camera, with our technology, and it's the kind of things that a trained professional will be able to fix so that we can continue to both record and live stream. Most of the time things go rather smoothly. Sometimes run into a glitch, and at the last minute, right before the meeting starts, we need to turn things on, something doesn't work right, we need somebody to be able to fix that so that we can get that out to all the folks watching on that camera. Is it okay to introduce? Yeah. Is it okay, Mr. Chairman, to?
Sure.
This is Mr. Charles Baker. He works with MyTech Solutions, who administrates the county's network. He is volunteering to take over that role this evening, and we very much appreciated him, and I wanted to recognize and acknowledge and thank him for that. I don't know, does this agenda item does it allow for making a hire at this moment? It just says that the board wants to, and we'll come back with things later.
Correct.
Okay.
I would suggest, in terms of discussion here, legislative could go back to the table and say, we want to create a policy for the camera operator for meetings, and that operator would get a stipend per meeting, perhaps. That's for you guys to decide, just deliberate. And then possibly even have a contingency, because even those people may be busy on meeting night. There's seven meetings a month. So
Yeah, he spoke to that, so I say we
Does
don't
this-
finalize anything tonight.
Right, legislative can take this up.
right. So I see head nods like this has been discussed in committee somewhere.
Well, after the last, we've had several glitches, and, if we're gonna provide the service, we need to provide it well. And if none of us are savvy enough to do it, so we
Right.
need to make sure that we can.
And we're on business meeting.
Would there be the high school video class, do something that they would be interested in, to be able to earn hours, or? I've not discussed it with anybody, but.
I like the idea. My only question would be, would there be any issue with a minor operating equipment of government property? Something like that. I realize it'd be great for community service hours for some students and things like that, but I'm curious about the interaction of the kids and government property.
Possibly though, if you hire somebody from that class could come and get community service hours by sitting and learning something.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah. But the primary.
School, we have to worry about summer when they're not in session, we still have meetings. So the video class itself, like I thought about that too, but the video class itself would not be meeting because it's summer, they're not in session.
It's like anything, it just takes coordination.
But they do continue getting service hours.
Sure.
Through the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Yeah, Clay.
I'm just curious, I mean, I know we record these meetings. Is there a need? I mean, we have recordings of audio at our committee meetings. Is there a real need to video them as well? I mean, what's the advantage here? And
well, the advantage is live stream. So people can watch it real time, and then if they see something, they go back and listen to it. You know, they could FOIA the audio recording, but that takes an interaction. Whereas they can just go find it on YouTube or wherever, on our website or on YouTube. That's it, Greg. It's on our website and YouTube. So it's accessibility and the ability to watch live.
so this could potentially save us money by not having to comply with a FOIA? Is that possible or no?
No. What it does is it just brings people from abroad into the room so they can hear firsthand what's going on.
Just to promote transparency and openness with what's going on in the meetings.
Yeah.
I just, I know that committee members have trouble getting there. I just can't imagine the general public wanting to sit and watch these meetings, but whatever.
Yeah. Any other questions, Mitch?
So we're doing a live stream on this. Are we going to have the people, I may have missed it, we're going to have the new hierarchy do the committee meeting every committee meeting?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just to approve the county to hire a camera operator, so here again, the committee go back and discuss the details. So. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 16 is discussion and vote to approve timekeeping policy. I submitted the timekeeping policy. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty short. To the point. Can I have a motion to approve the timekeeping policy? Yes. Jeremy makes the motion to approve. Is there a second? Keith seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on the policy as presented?
I believe there's still concerns of us passing a policy when the equipment is not functioning in accordance with, or is not allowing certain departments to process their payroll correctly.
In terms of like overtime or holiday pays and things like that?
And shift differentials and things like that. I think that there's concern, well, I know there's concern of us passing a policy that is not enforceable because the equipment we've provided is not usable, user-friendly at this point. We discussed, Jeremy and I discussed having, or I suggested, he agreed, that we maybe contact the software, whatever we bought the software from, and have them come down in real time, sit with the payroll process, those who process the payroll, and answer questions, show them how to do it in real time. Not just having a meeting where this is what you do, this is how you do it, whatever. Actually hands-on assist them with their payroll processing. And then we know for sure if it's a user problem or a software problem. So I kind of sort of understand the urgency in passing this, but then again, are we going to pass a policy that we cannot enforce?
So, from what I'm gathering is we have departments that have virtually no problems and departments that do have problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it there again, to ask the question, is it a software problem or a user problem? Jeremy, you have a question?
Yeah, I've got several things. Pretty much the extent of this policy is to say that we're going away from paper timesheets and we're going to the time clock and the software. And also that the record generated by the treasurer's office will be the official record for that employee. Now, that part I discussed with the clerk the other day over the phone, and we came, I think, if I'm not speaking out of turn, I think we came to a bit of a compromise, and that is that the policy could include that upon the treasurer's generation of that record, it could be sent to the pertinent department head as one last check and balance. By the time the employee, the supervisor and or department head, and then the payroll department have all completed their process, everything that needed to be caught and corrected should have been caught and corrected. I would not want an earlier version of that report to be the official record, just in case something slipped by somebody and something didn't get caught and corrected. I would want it to be the absolute final version, and I think it's only fair and appropriate that the department head and the employee get to review that report generated by the treasurer's office. And I discussed that with the treasurer yesterday, and she seemed to agree. No?
So here's the issue. When you've got time in, time out, and you click approve, you're approving that time in and time out is accurate. That's when you went to the machine, clocked in, you went to the machine, clocked out. Now, if you need a special addendum to that time, perhaps a holiday pay with holiday pay worked, which means that time punch is now going to double, which is going to flag that punch, then that is an adjustment made by management because it has to be approved by management. The time clock can't just assume that since it's Christmas Day and you clocked in, that it's going to plug in 8 hours and then you're going to work 8 hours on top of it, so it's going to be 16 hours for the day. It can't assume that. So there has to be an adjustment made after the day, after you clock out, manager goes back in, puts in whatever they need to do, it's flagged, it's approved. And if you do that daily or once every 3 days, then the accrual of time to go through and adjust time clock or adjust times is, I've done it before. In the businesses I've run, I've done it before where you had to go in and fix things because of, especially on paper, they had to go in and fix things because of an addition error. Somebody punched the wrong number on a calculator. So, in terms of getting it corrected, that should be done on the fly. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be done. So
apparently I misunderstood something. Would the treasurer speak to my misunderstanding?
I mean, first of all, we only have so much time to process payroll. It has to be to the bank. The file needs to be to the bank by 2 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon if we want our employees to be paid on time. When we switched to where we were actually paying employees after a pay period finished instead of prepaying them for the second week, we only put payroll out to the next Friday. If we want to do this where we're going to pull the time, we're going to enter it all in, then we're going to send reports back, because you have departments that an employee then might not be in there on the premises for 2 more days. I don't have until midnight Thursday to get a file to the bank so that come 12:01 Friday morning, our employees, then we need to change the policy to where we add another week in arrears if we're going to do all this back and forth. But the fact of the matter is, if a manager approves the click, an employee approves it, we're going to pull the correct time. The system is differentiating the 30-cent shift differential. We have to look at that electronic time, and we simply add those hours that are under that 30 cents shift differential. There are so many rules and so many inconsistencies from department to department to department to department. There's so many inconsistencies between the two union contracts. You've got two union contracts that don't jive, different rules. You've got non-union employees in various departments where departments have their own rules. This timekeeping system isn't really designed, as Julie said, to put in, 100 different rules. It's designed to add, this is when an employee was on the clock, this is when they were off the clock, and add that time. But we're making it more complicated. We do have, you got to spend time in the system during the payroll period. And questions have to be asked. We had one department, we had a holiday on Good Friday, and I'm fielding phone calls at 12:41. Actually, I got an email at 12:41, phone calls at 1:20, because the holiday pay was not dealt with within a couple days after the holiday. We're doing it on Monday morning when payroll's due. We're pulling time. We have departments, I talked to an employee the other day that they have to pull their electronic time, then plug that into an Excel spreadsheet so they can produce a piece of paper. In the meantime, management's adjusting time that wasn't right, or adding holiday not worked, or overtime, and so then they're printing yet another electronic time. And then we have the final pull, and so I've got 4 pieces of paper from one employee with different times. If we just clock in, we clock out, dictate whether we want the holiday works paid or not paid. Overtime, if I'm running the department and you gotta let me know within 48 hours. I had one employee this payroll that had 13 hours, if you totaled the overtime, that they pushed into comp. Wanted a comp. That's easy. They left 0.33 in the overtime pay. To look at that electronic footprint, is more difficult. Put it in or don't put it in. But that also has to be, that's the only thing that has to be communicated. And I said, if we have a list, employee Jones wants their overtime count, the department heads can put in the holiday works, not worked. Most of our departments, it's clear. It's just not that hard. Every employee has access to their dashboard from any computer, their work computer, their home computer. Department heads have access to that. It's just a matter of spending a little bit of time in it. But we cannot process payroll with 4 different pieces of paper with conflicting information on it, and then my department has to decipher what somebody wanted, and then when we don't decipher it right, then everybody wants to point the finger at my office and say, we don't know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, but I'll go back to John Vanderberg when he stood in this very room and said, garbage in, garbage out. At some point, clock in, clock out. Here's when they were here. It's pretty simple.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I was going to do this in committee reports, but I have been in contact with several different department heads and with CIC, the company from which the time clocks come. Sometime probably in early May, a gentleman from CIC who's out of Quincy is going to make some availability and come here and sit down with department heads in one larger group meeting. And he's also going to have on Zoom their company time clock expert that can run through the various problems that some of the departments are experiencing. First of all, I am positive that the issues we're facing can be worked out with what we have. There is a little more information that might need to be spread around, but there are some departments that are doing extremely well with this. They have a good workflow, they're getting it done accurately, efficiently, effectively, and in a timely manner, so I'm sure this can be done. It's just we need some communication from those for whom it's going just fine to those who are yet struggling. Also, I would address the sheriff's department specifically. The gentleman that I spoke to yesterday from CIC, they have a specific,
Module.
What's that?
Module.
Yes, thank you. Specific module for sheriff's departments. And I don't think we got you that because I didn't know it existed until yesterday. And that may resolve, in addition to this meeting that I hope to have in early May, that may resolve a significant amount of the troubles that you're having. Also, you and I spoke, I think, Monday afternoon about getting additional options on the drop-down menu on the time clock. He said that was absolutely possible. And he said, we don't want 100 different options there, but we can take out ones that shouldn't be there and add in ones that should be there. And so I just want the board and the departments to know that I am working on this. We are already making progress. And so I will have dates and times for that meeting, as I will get them to the clerk as soon as I have them, and then I will ask her to forward those on. So
right. So this timekeeping policy really highlights expectation of the department head in interaction with payroll. So it specifies the time and dates in which payrolls be turned in for processing. And it also designates specifically in what format. So if we don't have some sort of uniform format and some sort of establishment of expected interaction of the department heads, then we're just going to keep running everything in the dirt.
So we had an offer from Ms. Thompson to help with payroll policy, or timekeeping policy, tonight.
Debbie?
Yes.
Oh, that was employee handbook.
Right, she also offered timekeeping policy services. We've heard from department heads. We all had a long email chain that took place just a couple days ago about their desire to be involved in conversations on policies that affect their departments. And it sounds like we have a lot of potential coming up for interaction with the company that's going to come and maybe give a little bit better training, interaction, right, and gel us all together. And so with all this still kind of unknown and squishy, I make a motion we table this until we have those interactions.
Motion tables on the floor, seconded by Carol. All in favor of the table say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
I'm opposed.
No.
No, I'm a no.
Can I
Me.
get hands?
So he, Mark, Martha, Tim, myself are opposed. So in reference to the meetings, wasn't there about 2 or 3 trainings back in November where everybody was invited to come to how to work this?
We had trainings, we had two days of trainings, department heads and employees came. One of those trainings was recorded and sent out to department heads that they could use and share. Don't appreciate not being informed. I would find out too if it's going to cost us more, because setting up that system, they already spent considerable more amount of time as Shelby County than they normally do. So I just want to publicly say we've been using this system since November. And the department heads that choose to communicate with the office and ask questions have learned how to use the system properly. But they call right when the problem arises, fix it, and we move on. When there's a lack of communication, no desire to communicate for whatever reason, or saving it until the Monday morning of a payroll so we can create Facebook fodder we're going to get to the point, and Debbie did just tell me when we're opening ourselves up to liability by not having a policy and not having an expectation. And we're going to get to the point where the office is going to get pushed. We're not going to have it there, and employees are not going to get their pay on time. And I will publicly say, I've been told by 2 employees in this county that it is a concerted effort just to get at me. I've been told by 2 employees that their department head said that, and I don't care either way. I'm not gonna take the blame for the payroll issues when there is no cooperation for a system that is there. So, whatever you all decide, but we're opening ourselves up to issues. And if you want it to take this long and go back and forth and everybody doubling, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. We'll change the pay date to where we will have 2 weeks. And we can do that by law. You have 13 days to get an employee their check. We can end payroll on a Saturday night and not pay till the second Friday. Then we can pull it, I can send it out to departments, we can make sure everything is good. I want things good, I want our employees to receive their pay. But.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to item 17, committee reports. Any committees wish to stand report? Good.
With public safety, I don't know if Angela or Brad or Matt are here. All three of them, I sent out a letter or an email to the full board. All three employees from the animal control went to the training in Peoria. Said it was very beneficial, that they all three passed. So now we are on our way to licensing so that we can properly and legally house the sedation that they use. So, but they all three passed the training, so we're on our way to being compliant with state and federal guidelines for controlled substances.
So, yeah, you said that, but I was trying to figure out 3 employees.
Even the part-time employee that subs for Brad, Matt Winter, he had to be licensed or certified to use the controlled substance also.
Okay. That was one individual that I didn't realize that. Any other committees?
Yeah, just an update. I didn't get the numbers till here recently. The ULI extension, so this is second year for the deer donation program. Shelby County more than almost tripled their donation for the year, 927 pounds delivered to our food pantries in Shelby County.
Very good. Any other committees? I would like to report on the 911 meeting we had Monday night. Just besides running the 911 business, we actually have been able to address some communications issues that we've been talking about in this boardroom a couple times over. It was discovered that we have some pretty unique options, some very effective options, and very not cheap, but cost-effective options. That makes sense. It's not cheap, it's cost-effective. So hopefully we get some solutions out of 911 board here very soon for kind of bridging that southern corridor of county. So other than that, any other committees, outstanding boards.
Where are they at with getting so we can get the new equipment rolling out? Didn't it have to start with 911 and then come to us?
Okay, so that's when I say there's some really interesting developments. So in terms of being economically feasible, we found an option that we spend a lot less money on and actually have a much broader, much more effective range of communication. And so 911's going to work on that. But it was very exciting because it's progress. It wasn't spending 6 figures on a project. I mean, it was the options that we're looking at, at least that I discovered, was very intriguing. So, with that said, I'd like to move on. Item 19, chairman appointments. We have 3 to the cooperative extension. There is Julie, Tad, and Mitchell. We'll start off. We'll go individually one by one. Is there a motion to appoint Julie to Cooperative Extension, Sonny makes the motion, he seconds the motion. All in favor of appointing Julie to Cooperative Extension, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Cooperative Extension, Tad Mayhall, 1 year, so moved by Sonny, seconded by Heath. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Cooperative Extension, Mitchell Shuff, 1 year. Motion by Martha, seconded by Lori. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Mental Health Board, 708. Levon Cheney to a 4-year term expiring January 31 of 2028. Motion by Julie, second by Teresa. All in favor of appointing Levon to 708 Board, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Strasburg Fire, 3-year term, 10 minutes. Motion, Heath, seconded by Martha. All in favor of 10 minutes to the Strasburg Fire trustee, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Finley Fire, Tim Lefkoff, motion. Sean makes the motion, seconded by Tim Morse. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Shelbyville Fire, Ken Haney for 3-year term by resolution. Says you. Motion for Ken. Martha makes the motion. Dom seconds the motion. All in favor of Dom, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Ken. The next one. So, all in favor, yes, for Dom. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Tower Hill Fire, Don Selby for a trustee and a 3-year term by resolution. Motion by Martha, seconded by Mark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries for Don Selby. Winter Fire Chemical, 3-year resolution, or 3-year term by resolution. Motion by Sonny, seconded by Jeremy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Waco Fire, Robert Hemmer, trustee for 3-year term, motion. I got Tim Brown on the motion, seconded by Mark. All in favor of Robert Hemmer to 3-year term for Waco Fire, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. These are committee appointments. I'm going to do this in an omnibus fashion. Going to appoint Tim Morse, Carol Cole, Tad Mayhall to the Public Safety Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
I'm
No.
opposed.
Okay. Jeremy, Tim, Martha. Who knows? Farm Committee, Sean Marks to Farm Committee.
So moved.
Motion by Jeremy, seconded by Sonny. All in favor of Sean to Farm Committee, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Can I ask a question? Who made the motion and second for the public safety?
You went omnibus and didn't ask for one.
Right.
Okay.
So, somebody make the motion, please.
Make the motion.
Sonny makes the motion, is there a second? Sean makes the second. This is for Public Safety Committee to be Tim, Carol, and Tad. Do I need to recall the vote? We are through and finished farm committee appointment, correct?
Yes.
We are through, okay. Finance Committee, Lori Nelson. Don Tate, second by Mark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Last one is Dive Team Commander Austin Pritchard. I'd like to appoint Austin Pritchard to Dive Team Commander. Is there a motion? Motion by Sonny, seconded by Carol. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
I'm opposed.
Jeremy, Tim, Martha, opposed. Motion carries. Appointment carries. Item 20 is correspondences. There are correspondences that need to be brought to the board. Item 21 is old business. Anybody have old business? Susan?
Last month, we talked about 911, we talked about the windows again and stuff, and you touched on 911. Is there anything new on the windows? The courthouse windows?
Yeah, no. There was a question, there was an email interaction, but I don't remember who it was between. They were asking if we were still on for the window project, and so we need to get back with them and figure out where we're at.
I got a phone call from Lane Wilhauer,
The Pella guy?
well, he's the one that came and talked about the municipal, anyway, he had heard from Cody that he was no longer on the public safety or on the board, and I told him I would get back with him when the adjustments are made and who he needs to talk to. And he said he tried to reach out to a couple of different people that didn't get any answers, so.
Something I need to specify on the Public Safety Committee, and that is Tad Manhall is to be the chair of the committee. So item 22 is approval of claims.
I'll make that motion.
Mark makes the motion to approve the claims. Don makes seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on the claims?
I have a question before we approve. The rescue squad, the bed for the truck, the way it was purchased and paid for, I've never had that happen before since I've been on the board. I know they needed it, but I've never known us to cut a check before it was approved by this committee. Can somebody tell me how that works, if they've ever had that happen before?
Yeah. I'll let the parties at DD answer the question.
It's in their budget. They had a line item budget amount. It was within their budget. I contacted the clerk. The clerk advised me to contact the treasurer. We filed the correct paperwork. I simply facilitated the situation so that...
I'm not saying it wasn't needed, I just never had seen it happen that way.
Okay.
We just did a couple for the probation department in the last couple months, on each month, because it was somewhat of an emergency situation and we did it.
Yeah, which then starts to lend itself to the policy of, purchasing and, the cause and effect of making purchases. And the big thing is if the purchase was made in complete error, like, somebody's using the credit card to buy beer on Friday night, it's completely an error.
I'm not saying any of that, I'm just saying I have never seen it happen that way.
But I know exactly what you're driving at, because there's a lot of times you look at the bills that the check's already cut for, and go, well, what are we even looking these for? However, if we start to lean towards the direction of developing a policy of proper expenditures and how to properly spend money with all of our department heads and employees, then they know what's expected of them. We know what's expected of them. They know what's expected of them. They also know the consequences if a bad purchase is made. But that's a question for a conversation for another day. So,
I had never seen it before either. I had a unique situation. I reached out first to the clerk. She advised of an option. She advised that I reach out to the treasurer, reached out to the treasurer. All parties were in agreement, and so that's what took place.
When we were paying the bills the other night, I was into the judge's file, trying to figure out all the payments for the election and stuff. And something was said, did it cost more than $5,000? Because I couldn't hear when I was trying to add up all those.
The invoice was for $5,000.
And that was the total cost of the bed?
No, there's transportation, there's mounting, there's other things that accompany that.
So do we still owe that part of it then?
We owe, I believe, transportation may have been in this set of claims, but the mounting was not. So yes, we still owe for that.
Okay.
The $5,000 came directly, the rescue squad has a fundraiser account, and the purchase of the bed came directly from the rescue squad's fundraiser money.
Is that fundraiser account separate from the general fund then?
There's some sort of savings account or something that is
Yes,
a
it's separate from the
separate
general.
line item from GF.
Okay.
No.
And I saw the rescue squad's file, part of what Clay and I went through, and the bill for the truck bed was in there, and I don't remember whether the transportation,
They got paid, $12.50.
Yes.
I think that was in there also.
Yes. Mounting was not. The mounting occurred on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They picked it up on, Monday, Tuesday. They picked it up on Tuesday, and they didn't get back to town in time to get it submitted for finance on Tuesday. So they will have to pay that. But the company is okay with waiting.
Any other comments about the bill? Hearing none, roll call please.
Manley? Hiddenbills?
Hiddenbills.
Oh, yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bay?
Yeah.
Brown?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Burnhammer?
Yes.
Hardy?
Yes.
Keenan?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Mayhaw?
Yes.
McCormick?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Orman?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Shuck?
Yes.
Tate?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yeah.
Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Oh, you know what? I've got to put a sheet out there, so you won't find any sign-ups.
Okay, we'll start off with public body comment here. We have 5 minutes per person, no yield of time, and your 5 minutes starts when you start. So, I would like to open up the floor to public body comment. I'd like to pledge.
Yeah, I just want to answer some folks. Everybody asked me some questions, so I sent a text. I said, hello, Rob, this is Clay Hardy. I continue to have people tell me that the assistant state's attorney is not working while getting paid. Can you enlighten me on this? He said they are incorrect. I've had her working remotely. The work of an attorney is mostly intellectual. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, I made reasonable accommodations for her as she recovers. She had very serious surgery last week, and I am accommodating her with remote work, which I am satisfied she is getting done to my expectations. And he also said down here he's getting things done under budget.
Thank you. Public body comment. Sir.
Gene Price. In terms of the farm, it seems like all your opinions are negative. There are positive opinions out there, but no one brings those to light. It seems like you're always looking for ways not to farm it instead of looking for ways to farm it. You say you can't take the income because it's not public purpose. You had no problem a couple years ago when Mr. Fox farmed it, handed you the money. You took it. From what you said tonight, that's illegal. Also, there's a cemetery on that property. Public goes to the cemetery. Public purpose. Solves your problem. You're trying to find ways not to farm instead of finding ways to farm. And like I said, you're finding nothing but negative opinions. It's the only thing that has been said. There's positive opinions, but not one person out here that hasn't said anything about the positive opinions. So, but like I said, when Mr. Fox did this a couple years ago, you gladly received the money and you put it in the account. But you said yourself, tonight you can't do that. That was illegal then. But there's 21 other counties that have farms that are farming them and not doing anything about it. The state's not telling them they can't do it. They farm them. We need to be farming. You guys need to pay attention to what the constituents of this county want. and do your jobs like you're supposed to be elected to do.
I want to rebuttal that, please.
I'm done.
Mitch?
Yes, Gene, I have been on the phone, and I have been trying many ways to try to find a way to farm that farm, so you can't sit there and tell me I haven't tried, because you don't know how many hours I put into this.
I'm not saying that, but every opinion you put out tonight was negative. You never put one positive
I was
opinion.
just reading off what the law states.
Oh,
That's
you're
all I
not.
was doing. That's all I was doing.
Make a declaration about back and forth. Madam Chair, we'll be here all night.
Yeah, we're not going to engage dialogue, we'll be here all night, so please keep it to comment. I won't say you can't, just not recommended.
That was considered public comment. My public comment.
Public comment, right here in the back.
Okay, I'm gonna try this again for the 57th time. We're gonna go back to this House Bill 1076. We're having a real issue with understanding that this is real time, not 1964, not 1975, not 1932. Go ahead and turn the camera off, love it. Synopsis as it was introduced. This is on illinoisga.gov. That's our official Illinois website. It amended the county code, provides that, notwithstanding other specified county property leasing provisions, upon majority vote, the county board may lease farmland acquired or held by the county for any term not exceeding 99 years. Provides that farmland may be leased to either public or private entities for the public purpose of financially supporting the operations of the government at any time or times and on any terms and conditions the county board deems best for the interest of the county, including but not limited to crop sharing arrangements effective immediately. House Floor Amendment 1. So they went with that wording. House Amendment said, provided that upon 3/4 vote, rather than majority vote, the county board may lease farmland acquired or held by the county for any term not exceeding 5 years rather than 99. Senate Floor Amendment 1. Reinserts the provisions of the engrossed bill with the following changes. Removes the requirement that the county board may authorize any county officer to make leases for terms not exceeding 2 years in a manner determined by the board. And provisions relating to leasing farmland provides that upon 3/4 vote by the full county board, rather than 3/4 vote, the county board may lease farmland acquired or held by the county for a term not exceeding 5 years. Removes a requirement that the lease must be for a specified purpose. Provides the lease may be made via a cash lease, crop sharing arrangement, or custom farming arrangement. Adds requirements relating to the bid process for farmland leases, and provides that counties shall not acquire farmland for the sole purpose of entering into a cash lease, crop sharing arrangement, or custom farming arrangement for other speculative purposes. Now, interestingly enough, that's last amendment. Senate floor amendment, when you go to the website, was on May 25th. House concurred, May 25th. 525 passed both houses, May 25th. Sent to the governor, and the governor approved it on 8/4. So this malarkey that you're telling it has to have a purpose, excuse me, but it's horseshit. That's what it is. And everybody out here knows it. I'm just letting you guys know that didn't get beat in this election. We're going to hold you guys to the mark. We're tired of being lied to. There's better things to do. I understand Mitch thinks he worked all winter finding a public purpose. I can find 6 in an hour. This is nonsense. I want to know who you guys sold out to. We all want to know. Who is it you want to sell that farm to so bad? Who did you owe a favor to? Answer us. We want an answer.
You won't believe
You're
this
sitting
if I
over there
told you.
laughing, but you don't want to answer us and you don't want to tell the truth.
You wouldn't believe
sit here
it.
in that meeting. No, this is my 5 minutes, by God. Monday night, you sat in that meeting and told me that I wasn't listening and wanted to know who the author is of that passage I just read. It's on the Illinois.gov website. I've read it 14 times or better. You can't even read the thing? That is how that law, that public act was developed. They went back and forth. They said, we want this, we don't want that. That is what it says. That is the things they agreed to, what they agreed to put in, what they decided to take out. That's what it reads. You can't just keep muddying the water with these stories you tell about some textbook entry or an opinion. Over half of our legislators that agreed to this our attorneys. And frankly, Mr. Holbrook voted yes. So if that's who we're going to be battling to, if that is who it is, I don't see him here supporting us. I don't see him coming to a meeting with a letter from the Attorney General to square it up for us. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just guess? Go on your opinion? Because the last I knew, there's nobody in this room that I can see that has a law degree, but that website we're supposed to follow. And this crap about unconstitutional, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Nobody's buying it. Because if we said, well, it's constitutional, it has a public purpose because we let families go out there and have picnics. Jean's right. We have a historical landmark on our farm. That could be considered a historic purpose. We could let families go out and have a picnic. But the next argument would be, well, it's only on those 12,000 blades of grass. You guys are put on notice. All of you that are up for election in November, you're on notice because we're sick of it.
Okay, I just want to know, you know, if you're not going to farm the farm, you're leaving a hole in that budget, and you set the budget. Whose budget are you going to set? Whose budget are you going to cut? Are you going to cut the school budget? Are you going to cut the engineer's budget? We're going to quit building a bridge? You know, what are you going to cut here? Or are we going to end up with a tax increase because you can't meet this budget that you've set? What are your plans here for the rest of us?
So to answer that question directly, the question is how much money will we save by not planting a crop? Because if you look at the numbers, and this goes back to in a crop share or a custom farm set, we have to put dollar in. Number one is dollar in. So we have an investment of X amount of dollars. Now, that investment initially is subject to bid, and then the outcome is subject to the Chicago Board of Trade.
Right.
So there's no guarantee of revenue. Now, we can look at tax revenues from the state and go, yep, we have 0.76% of this coming back from the state on this, and right on down the line. So to budget this and to ask questions about a budget, well, that is literally taking a dart and throwing it over your shoulder and seeing what hits the wall.
So you're saying you're not making any money, or you don't plan on making any money from it?
Well,
or you just
so we made
the budget?
We made a budget last year, and when we made the budget last year, we were almost back to cash rent stage. Cash rent numbers. So the revenue that we made off the wheat crop, that was double than normal. That was a one-off experience in a couple of year period. Normally wheat is $5, $6, $7, $8. It was $11, $12, $13 in that particular year. We made a lot of money on the wheat crop that year, but that's not normal. See, this is what I'm getting at, is we're running a business. And now this is crop share and custom farm. Now, if you can ask me the questions that you just asked me, it's exactly why I said I never want to have anything to do with it. And I stepped off the farm committee because that is exactly why if we didn't make the right recommendation to buy the products that we need to go into the business, and if we didn't make the best sale we could on the backside, well, we just open ourselves to management scrutiny, which is absurd because our job as a county board is to not farm. Because of the business aspect of it. The cash police part of it, we beat that horse until 6 ways to Sunday. Anyway, you have 4 minutes left on the public comment.
So you're saying, you know, the whole thing here is you come up with all these Google things and you say it's illegal to do this. Now, I know, who's going to come and arrest Stu Fox if he farms that? You know, who is going? And there was another farmer that farmed it, I forget his name. Nobody came and arrested them.
No, they were in contract. So, a couple of years ago, last year, Kenny, St. Johnson? Yeah, he came in under contract and he custom farmed the horse.
Right.
Yeah, so that was at the discretion of the board, the last board. So, what was your original question back to Stu come in and farm it?
Yeah, who's going to arrest him? You know, you're making it sound like it's a terrible crime. It's against the Constitution and all these Google things you come up.
Well, okay. So when it comes to making in Google, it's the Attorney General website is where you find the opinions that I was referencing in here.
They're opinions, that's right. They are opinions.
Attorney opinions, by the way. The Attorney General opinion.
It's called practicing law.
And there was many of them that were congruent with each other all through the 60s, 70s, and 90s, and one in 06. So to reference something from the 60s that's been old and outdated is really an error, because there was an 06 that referenced this county and how the public equipment of the counties for public purpose, not to go after private property. It's an 06 AG opinion, and it's black and white. So, you have 3 minutes left.
I'm done, I'm with her.
Public body comment. In the back.
I don't care. Okay. Go ahead. Mr. Ross, has your memory improved from last month as far as when you found out you had made that error, or are you still, I don't recall? My reasoning, since you mentioned at the January meeting that you had made the error, and that you also mentioned at the January meeting that you pleaded with all the DICE team members to not quit, I'm guessing you realized it fairly quickly, and you didn't apologize publicly until January at the meeting. You said you had a meeting, you gave me a note last month that you met with Austin Pritchard on September 14th and that you apologized. I've had a conversation with him. He said the little bit that you said to him, he did not consider an apology. He did not accept it as an apology, and he walked out on that little conversation. And I think you tell a real good story.
Public body comment. Public body comment. Awesome.
Definition of trust: assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. One in which confidence is placed. Ted, I'd like to thank you for being a mediator for some negotiations that we recently had, that we came to an agreement to put a dive team back in the water. Tomorrow marks 9 months that the dive team was stood down. 9 months to the date. We've got a long ways to go yet. There's equipment that hasn't been maintained. There's certifications that have to be done on that equipment. Yes. What was decided tonight? Thank you. We will put a dive team back together. We will get it back working. We will take care of what we need to take care of. There's still paperwork issues. There's resolution that needs to be looked at. SOPs, SOGs. Myself, Public Safety Committee, we will sit down, we will hash that out. I think that was part of the problem before, is committees and boards taking on every part of it without input from the experts. No one on this board is a public safety diver. No one on any previous boards, any resignations that have happened, no one is a public safety diver. Am I correct in that statement?
I'm glad you specified public safety diver, because we had divers on the board.
Okay, well, and recreational diver and public safety diving, it's two different things. Totally different No one asked me to come to the table after that stand down, after we tried to put resolutions together, after the board put resolutions together. I wasn't asked to come to the table and sit down. Martha, you can sit there and shake your head all you want. That's not what happened. The dive team was not asked to come to the table to help with this resolution that the board was trying to form. But now here we are. We were asked to come to the table this time. And here we are. And we're going to get things put together. To the public, we're back. It wasn't just one person that did this. It took multiple people to do it. Thank you.
Closed body comment? Okay.
I would just like to piggyback on Austin just a little bit and say that as we move forward, a little goodwill goes a long way.
Closed body comment? Closed body comment? Sorry, I was looking at the public.
No, you're good. So in light of this topic, and I've got something in writing that's going to go out that I think probably better explains than what I'm going to do right now. We had a lot of conversations over the past few weeks, Mr. Ross and I. Getting to this point was not easy. Having these conversations was not easy, almost to the point of arguably contentious at certain points. In a realization that we have to get past whatever our personal thoughts are on this, right? Whatever we harbor personally doesn't matter. This is a much bigger issue than me, than you, right? Or even Austin and the team. It's much bigger than any of that. And it's been tough, to say the least. The final solution, the resolution here, it certainly came with sacrifices, right? It came with sacrifices from multiple people. It came with compromise, which in some cases might be viewed by somebody by some as something that they're willing to do. But compromise, as I explained today, and I think that you would agree with this statement, compromise doesn't always taste very good. And right now we're all taking the same bite out of the same sandwich, and it wasn't made with the best, tastiest ingredients. I can tell you that right now. But we did it for the interest of the public. We came and we found solutions and compromises. Where our conversation started is nowhere near where it ended. It did not start in the same place, and they came with a lot of back and forth. And I'll give Mr. Ross credit for his willingness to be flexible and understand the bigger picture with this, and Mr. or woman's willingness to make the appointments here and put that forward, because it does put the county and our visitors in a much better situation. The input from Moultrie County and Effingham County, they picked up a lot of slack for us over the past several months. John, was certainly very helpful in his input on this too. One thing I was not aware of until just last week is the 4th of July celebration held here every year. One major contingency to that contract and that agreement is there has to be a qualified active dive team on 9th Street in order for that to even take place. So there was a lot at play here. There's been a lot of play for 9 months. We saw the images from, I believe, just last week in my neighborhood. There are things that we need these professionals here for. And so, again, thank you both for your cooperation and agreement on this. Thank you to Austin, and as well as his former senior leadership, as well as his team to come together, and everybody willing to set aside personal preferences on this and find a path forward. So thank you for that.
Mr. Mayhall is absolutely correct, and I want to thank him for his willingness to work on this. I want to thank Austin for his willingness to come back to the table, and I appreciate Mr. Orman and the board putting this together. To the gentlewoman's point, there were things that I did that was wrong. I would do them differently, given the chance, and one of those started about right here, and that was when I was disrespectful to Mr. Pritchard and failed to shake his hand. Since we've placed this back together, I would like to start this place with meeting you there, and we have that handshake that we should have had 9 months ago, if you're so willing. For any disrespect that I showed you, openly or privately, it's uncalled for, and I'm looking forward to putting this back together. And I thank you for the team for your willingness to give me one more chance. I will appreciate
As we move forward, it's going to take a lot of work on everybody's part, but
I understand.
Public comment.
What else is there to say?
I'll go back to you. Mark's back to
I hadn't planned to speak tonight. Mark Shanks, I hadn't planned to speak tonight, but I wanted to just reiterate what's just been said. I don't think that I can add much to it. I think that was very well done. Respectfully, everybody sitting down at the table and cooperating, and everybody compromising for the good of public safety. And that's what this is all about, and that's what this should be about. I'm still not happy that this wasn't a unanimous vote. I think there's some soul searching needs to be done by some people that didn't vote for it, but I'm glad that the majority of the board saw the wisdom in getting over our differences, working together for the good of public safety.
Body comment in the corner.
John Summers, Operations Manager at the lake. I just want to thank the county board and the dive team both for coming together for the public. Your efforts affect lots more people than just what lives in Shelby County. When we look at the number of folks that travel through our county on a daily basis, to the millions of visitors that come to our lakes and rivers and come down to meet their family and do whatever, to the naysayers and those that wonder, why the importance or why the need for a dive team, I truly hope that you are able to have that wonder your entire life. I hope you're never involved in a situation where the dive team is needed, for your situation, because at that time you're going to recognize and realize the importance of that. And when the dive team or any other rescue or safety organization is called out, it's never for a steak dinner. It's always a horrible incident or, a really bad situation. In my world, we like to say, what's took place over the last few months, that's water through the dam. It's gone. It's history. And one thing we know about history, it's history. It's time to move forward. To expect the dive team to pick up from where they left off, anyone that thinks that could happen, as far as their training or their equipment being ready or what have you, you would be living in a fantasy land. I work with them quite a bit, and they spend hundreds and hundreds of hours, working for the communities, for the county, for the people. And, with the requirements they have, we should not have that expectation put on them to be picked up right from left off. But one thing that I can guarantee that's going to pick up from left off is my staff and my self-support for the county board and for the dive team moving forward. If there's anything you guys need, please reach out, and I'll do whatever I can to help out with, Anyway, thank you so much.
Public body comment. Vic.
It would be nice if we could do the same thing for the county farm that we did for the dive team. Everyone's sitting in these bleachers who wants to farm. What you don't, I just don't have any idea. I talked to two really good lawyers this morning. They said this new law is completely constitutional. And if anyone would like to prove it's not, they could try that in a court of law. But they will not prove it. It is not unconstitutional. If someone thinks it is, then take it to court. Let's find out if it is. But it is not, they won't win. So why can't you work with us to farm the farm? Instead, you're all, not all of you are about wholly, but it isn't. The rest of you, for some unknown reason, don't want to farm. And I don't understand what it is. I mean, it brings in income. You don't even want to listen to talk about someone that will do it for almost nothing. You don't even want to do it. I mean, this is just pitiful that you don't work with the constituents. Don't some of the people on the board know why they lost the election? I mean, we know that, really. So, a couple of other things. Why aren't we talking about the audit? Is it ever going to be done? I mean, is there anyone that can tell us what's going on? Or who should we ask? Someone. And I drive by and take pictures and the ones are rotting out of the courthouse. But we don't. You guys, I guess you don't care. You don't do anything about it. Yesterday morning, our famous state's attorney released a guy that had 48 counts of child pornography against him. And his name is Mark Michael. He was smoking weed. All charges were dropped. Is that what we want? I mean, is that the respect we want in Shelby County? That if we get a criminal, we just get stuck with it? You know, I don't know what some of these people are thinking. I think it's great we got a dive team, but why in the world can't we farm? I mean, can't we farm because Kirk Allen thinks we have to have a public property? The law is constitutional and it says nothing in it about a public property. What about this don't I don't get why you don't want to work with us. We're the ones that vote. We're the ones that pay you. We're the ones that provide the money for the courthouse. We're the one that provides the money for the, if we own property, we provide the money for the county employees. But we can't even find out what an audit is about. All we want to do, all things that people want to do, at least one particular in the courthouse, is just want to fight. These girls that explain to you, have been explaining to you for a year about the problem with the atmosphere in the courthouse, I've been in front and talked to them. I listen. You don't want to listen. Have any of you ever been in and talked to them? I have dozens of times. And their explanation is correct. They're afraid. They're afraid they'll lose their job. They're afraid someone's going to jump on them. My wife's been afraid. She can't sleep at nights because she won't agree to farm and she wants to, and we all want to, and the county wants to. I mean, what you guys are going to do, there's going to be another great big group get defeated come November. Okay, that's all I have.
Everybody comment. Everybody comment?
Bob, do you want an update on the audit, or do you want me to?
Sure, go ahead and update the audit.
Yeah, the reason the county audit isn't done is because our auditors have never dealt with an entity that doesn't have a financial office that has all of the financial records and information in one location. We don't have, Jake, I'm talking, Jake, I'm talking.
Go ahead.
It has been a finding since before I was even in that office that the records, financial records of the county should be run through the treasurer's office. There has been a complete and utter lack of cooperation to do that because the attitude is it's none of their business. Prior auditors could go around to every office and collect that information. We are now on, I mean, I've been here 5.5 years and we're on our 4th auditor. Auditors aren't going to do that job because they don't audit numbers that they in turn produce. So the county is not compliant. The county has refused to get compliant. We got an email.
Please be quiet, one at a time.
We got an email a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. They're going to have part of it done, hopefully a report to us soon. And then they'll finish the single audits. But it is not the treasurer's office, and it is not the auditor's fault that the audit isn't done. The audit isn't done because Shelby County has not fixed, they've not fixed one finding since I've been in office. Not one. And to sit there and say that it's one person's fault or one office's fault is absolute ridiculous. So if you want change, then the board is going to have to create policy, and department heads are going to have to comply with that policy. And to this whole issue that the farm, if we don't farm the farm, it's going to raise our taxes, I think people should know that the revenue, estimated revenue for Shelby County is $7.3+ million. Potential for $40,000 isn't a drop in the bucket and isn't going to affect anybody's taxes. We make more than that in some months in interest on our accounts. I know you like to joke about that, Jake, but it is true. Whether you believe it or not, the truth is the truth. And second of all, there's parts of that farm that you cannot farm because you cannot invest in inputs into a farming operation. Whether you want to say that's negative or not, that's what the law says. I kind of think it's negative that I have to drive 55 miles an hour if I'm going to abide by the law. I would consider that negative. So I can either break that law and then have, Mr. Officer pull me over, but the law is the law. It's only negative when it doesn't fit your agenda, but it's the law.
Wait a minute, I'm not done.
Nobody comment? Chris?
Just real quick, how many years did Mose, Lively, and Yaki do the audit prior to you becoming treasurer, Ms. Fernhaber?
I am not the reason that Mose, Lively, and Yaki.
I didn't say you were, I just asked a question.
I don't know, I've been here 5.5 years.
Anybody in the room know? Quite a few years, right? Okay, that's all I got.
Do you know why they quit? Because the county board refused to deal with any of the findings. And any professional firm that makes findings and makes findings and makes findings, and they're not done, and they're not complied with, at some point, is it my turn to talk or?
Did Chairman recognize you?
When a professional firm makes findings and makes findings and makes findings, and boards continue to ignore and ignore and ignore, at some point they're done. Because it comes back to them and their professional liability. So it doesn't matter how many years they were here. When it was called out that the previous boards were not dealing with the findings, that's the problem. That is on the board. That is not on Mose, Yaki, Lively. That is not on the Treasury Department.
I'll watch out.
Good, go ask. What does it matter how many years they did it? They're not doing it now because they gave us up. We didn't give them up. They gave us up.
Okay, public comment. Here in front.
Okay, so a few months ago, maybe last year, we denied a claim for a bill that was $50 for the dog catcher because $50 is $50. Well, 40 grand's 40 grand, right? If we make $10 or $20 or $30 farming the farm, money's money, right? Who gives a crap about the public purpose or all the other crap? But we've already gone over about how legal it is to do, and nobody from the state farm police jail is going to come put anybody in prison because we farmed the damn farm. But we're going to deny a $50 claim to the dog catcher because he wants to be some member to some society somewhere that costs $50. Oh shit, can't do that because $50 is $50. We could say $50. We can make 40,000, she says, maybe, potentially. Maybe we could make 400. Maybe we could make 100,000. Money's money, right? So if we can say $50, why can't we make 40 or 50 or 100? I mean, who's going to come put somebody in jail because we farmed the farm? Really? I mean, money's money, right? 40 grand, right? Dog catcher's fee $50 because he was going to be some member of something that we, oh my God, we can find it for free. $50 is $50. I mean, shit. Come on. Well, for Christ's
I
sake.
still had a minute left.
Go, Jake.
So why are we having all these funds to draw?
So in response to what you just mentioned, I wasn't train of thought, but anyway. So to make the money that you just referenced, you referenced like 6 or 7 different numbers.
Yeah.
40,000, 100,000, 400,000.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it was. Exactly. When it comes to the Investments Act, it tells you specifically how you can spend your money. When it comes to public purpose, there's statutes tell you what you can put money to.
Have there are lost money
Operations
farm to farm?
of the government.
Have we ever gone in the hole farm to farm? Have we ever gone negative? Ever? I mean, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
So that's a no.
Okay.
But why would you put yourself in a position to go into negative? That's against the investment policy altogether. Because you can't lose the principal back to the investment policy. If you put principal in, you cannot lose it. So if you go to an FDIC insured account, which are 5 pieces of the Investments Act, each one of them are secure accounts. Okay? Investing in a crop share or a custom farm situation, lends itself to losing the principal. And now, could you imagine how mad everybody would be if this board went into a business and lost your dollars? Because not only did we lose your dollars, but we went against policy doing it.
You won't make a dime if you don't put a crop on, Bobby. That's how it works. That's how it works.
And
You can't make one dime
Dylan's rule,
with no seed in the ground. You know that?
Dylan's rule means nothing.
You might do real well one year and not so well the next year, but you can make money. You're done.
Go buy some lottery tickets.
Yeah, it's the same. So anyway, public body comment. I've already been here, Cody.
I can't do it.
He's full of
Public body comment.
Tricia's back there.
Go ahead, back.
It was good to see tonight. One of the first meetings I've seen with a little bit of humanity in here, and I'm thrilled to see it. Regardless of where it comes from, I'm thrilled to see it. The other thing I wanted to touch base about the farm, I noticed the rescue squad bill was put out this week, where a lot of the board members signed it, so you're acknowledging that you know that it's not done legally. That is, I think, what a lot of people have a problem with, is that you're picking and choosing which laws you're going to follow and which ones you're not. So if there's a bill that's not moving through the House, I think that was back in, the bill's not progressing yet. I don't think there's been another hearing scheduled that I've seen yet. And that's where I see the big deal is. There's a lot of things that I think you're doing, that you're picking and choosing which law you follow. And you acknowledge when you sign that you know it's not really legal. So, you know, hey, maybe it will, maybe it'll get through the legislature, maybe it won't. That's a gamble too, just like putting crops on, making money or not. You don't know if it'll pass or if it won't. We need our rescue squad, we need our services. And a lot of people feel that way about our farm. They want to farm the farm. And if you're going to pick and choose, why is the farm the hill you're dying on? I don't understand that. Now, I don't know how many seats were taken, 6 out of 7, 5 out of 6. The constituents are speaking. And you're seeing what way it's going for you. Bobby, congratulations. Our area isn't there yet, but it's getting there. But the other areas, they're there. They're watching this, they see a lot of hypocrisy, and they want it to stop. But I think tonight was actually a building point, because there's been a lot of pain in the last 9 months in this county. And I'm still rooting for, even some of you that probably don't like me very well, but I'm still rooting for you, because when you do well and you succeed, we succeed. And we should all want that for our county. Me and Mr. Ross don't get along at all. But I want him to succeed. Because if he succeeds, our community succeeds. Why can't we want that for each other? But this farm stuff and this picking and choosing, That's got to stop. You either follow all the laws and apply them equally, or you just, the hypocrisy needs to stop. Why is the farm the hill you're dying on? Why? Now, I have some theories on that, especially since another board member came out and said that when he was on the board, they were having virtual meetings and being coached how to vote and told what to do. And when I come and listen to all of you talk about your opinions that you're rattling off, it sounds extremely scripted, month after month, that I hear it. And so it backs up what those two board members are saying a lot. And I hope people are paying attention to that. And I hope the press is paying attention that a second board member has stood up and said that we were having virtual meetings previous to the board meetings being coached. That's wrong. And if you're not thinking for yourself, that's a problem. We didn't elect whoever's coaching you. We elected you. And you're supposed to work for us. That's my comment. And I am going to leave because I have a dog I need to let out before you have to mess, because this has been a long meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so just to clarify some things on running legally, as she mentioned, ironically, she wants to criticize on whether we pick or choose what division and what's legal and what's not, but ironically, this is the first board that pitched it to the State House to fix it. So that's issue number one. We actually took efforts and made movements to fix a problem. And then the other one is the AG opinion that I specifically referenced about public purpose, public goods used for public purpose, not for private use, is the 06 AG opinion right back here in Shelby County that specifically speaks to the dive team and that it is used their own equipment for public use, not to pull individual property out of water. So public purpose has a very valid reason. Public body comment.
Don't you think if we had a lawyer here that we pay, the lawyer should be here at least at some of these meetings, and all of this won't be going on. I mean, the city has a lawyer, and if we have a question, they ask him, he looks it up, he answers the question, it's done. We wouldn't be here for 3 hours. It's ridiculous. You need the lawyer here, and he's paid, and he should have his ass in here. Nicole did. I don't get it.
Yeah, she left after 6 months too.
Yeah, you guys probably drove her out.
No, she came to meetings and then quit coming to meetings. No one complained then. No one criticized her then.
I had problems with her in the beginning, and then she helped me out, so I can't say anything. At least she helped me out, so. She stood up and did it. I couldn't get the board to do it. That's all I got to say. You need a lawyer here. This is ridiculous.
So in response to that real quick. So if a lawyer is present for an argument or debate, and something that happens or is said in foul or in error, they are implied in the case as soon as it happens. So as long as they are not in the heat, as soon as it happens, they are neutral and can analyze the situation third hand. When the state's attorney, and the job of the state's attorney is to determine who is in the right and who is in the wrong and defend appropriately. Okay? So if they are implied in an argument or a debate, for the lack of better words, a debate, then they are removed and they're neutral, and then they can assess the situation and make a proper assessment. But if they are right in the middle of it, they're directly implied, and it's far more harmful than it is beneficial.
I'm just saying, just to answer a couple questions, not
But
to defend anybody or anything, but at least you could look at him and say, hey, you know, I mean, it's just common sense.
Ma'am, I've stopped your time. I'm responding to what you said. Public body comment. Public body comment. Public body comment. Motion to adjourn. So moved. Mark, second by Jeremy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Have a good evening.
Brooklyn responded very well.